And welcome to Popcorn Chicken, the movie adaptation of Space Chicken. Today, we're talking Warcraft, and this is the second take, and on the first take, I made this all big like that, and then I swung it all small for the video crew. I'm not doing that again. I'm just gonna do the woochoo woochoo, and then just know it's implied. And then for people listening on the audio, just know there was a visual element to that. Go on YouTube, Talking Chicken Network. So joining me, and what I said before was representing the Alliance. It was a visual joke because he's a white guy. Was Scott? Say hi, Scott.
Hello.
And then I said representing the Horde, which is also a visual joke, because I find his skull and cheekbone structure to be quite monstrous. Was Wilson? Say hi, Wilson.
For the Horde.
There we go. Heads up, spoiler alerts for the movie Warcraft, the game World of Warcraft, possibly the game Warcraft 1 through 3, and any other movie the people from Warcraft have been in. You have been warned. So, starting off, as we get into this movie, I'm going to tell you guys that I watched this. I played World of Warcraft, vanilla World of Warcraft. I played Wrath of the Lich King. I played Cataclysm. And I never had any idea what the fuck was going on. Like, as far as the characters of the game were concerned. The way it worked is I would go in and I would play and I tried to find out what was going on, but then you'd group up with people who wouldn't read, or it was their second character or something, and they just wanted to go kill the appropriate number of things to murder and collect the appropriate number of body parts as proof to level up. So I have no point of contact, not point of contact, point of reference for the lore. I watched this just as a moviegoer, and this fucking movie was terrible, but I loved it. So
I couldn't agree with you more because I played Warcraft and World of Warcraft. And in Warcraft 2 and 3, I was just killing whatever I was faced. I had no idea what was going on. And in World of Warcraft, I was that guy just going kill 5 of these things in this location. No idea why I was doing it.
Because they were going to give you a green hat.
Villages?
They want to give you a green hat. Like, you want the green hat, so you kill the things to get the green hat, which, by the way, makes us sociopaths.
The ones in the village, those I do remember. Something was always burning, or you had to, like, collect pumpkins because they were too lazy to, like, get the pumpkins themselves or whatever the quest was.
Good. Quality stuff, Wilson. Quality stuff. Scott, your turn.
He's a master at this. Like, I feel...
It was kind of like you said. I kept trying. Like, when I was done with the movie, I kind of said to myself, all right, I was trying to look at it from a person who didn't play the game, who didn't know a lot of the backstory and stuff like that. And it was really hard to put myself in that position. The entire time I was watching it, it was just like, it's like they made this movie for the people who played the game. They put all these little references in there, and you're like, oh, I know that guy. I know that guy. I've seen that guy. I know that backstory.
So for the people who were paying attention, yes?
Yeah. Well, I mean, not even the people that are paying attention. I mean, here's the thing. If you played Warlords, right, a lot of this stuff was referenced. It was kind of like Gadka or whatever his name is, and all those people were significant, and you learned kind of people's backstory because you went back in time, or so you went back and you saw the Frostwolf clan, and you got to experience that as a grown up Thrall rather than the baby Thrall that was there before he was born. So you kind of get to experience that, and this movie, I think, they timed it up perfectly. So if you were playing that expansion, and
Scott,
then
was that English that you just spoke?
Yeah.
The Thrall thing, is that the green baby thing in the movie?
Yeah. So the green baby is Thrall. Yes.
Okay. So he becomes a savage like he was intended to.
Right. No. So he's raised by humans, and I forget which humans. Like you saw in the end credits, somebody pick him up right at the end.
Yes.
Yeah. So he's raised by humans, and that's where kind of his, that side of him comes from. I forget the entire backstory behind Thrall and everything there, and who raised him. But if you played the game, if you played Warlords, when you go back to the Frostwolf and he meets Duratan, who's his father, it's kind of like a really weird moment, you know. It's
Wait a
but
minute, his
he
dad is still
Wait, yeah,
alive?
Durtan's dead.
What?
right, but in the game, you go back
So
Oh,
why'd
in
they?
time.
in
Oh, you go
time,
back in time. Ah,
right?
okay.
So you
All
go
right.
back in time, and you see Duratan before they had Thrall, before the Fel had destroyed their thing. So back when
So
there
before the
was still
movie.
right before the movie, which was makes it so cool is
Whoa,
because you go,
whoa! So the
yeah,
Yo, oh
game
my God.
has a prequel to the movie, which is a prequel to Vanilla Warcraft, World of
right.
Warcraft.
That's what
So
Oh,
Warlords
this.
was,
dude, you just inceptioned me.
Ah.
right? So
I
if
feel like
you
I should like YouTube the lore behind this now. Like,
No, no, you watch our
oh my
podcast,
God.
YouTube stuff later. Go,
Yeah.
go,
so
Scott.
so that kind of like you're sitting there and like Duratan, if you so they do all the they did a series of videos, little movies, like they're like 5 to 10 minutes long before Warlords came out, and they did all the Warlords. Now the one like good warlord was Duratan, and they tell his story, and if I hope I get this correctly, was if I don't, I know people are going to be like all over my back.
Get
I
so
don't
mad at
study this
him.
stuff,
Get so mad
but
at him.
you know the
That
wolf that
dislike
he
like our
wears.
video.
You know that
Yeah,
wolf
yeah,
that he
yeah,
wears.
yeah.
Okay,
That
so
one
he
time in the
got
movie, yeah.
right, but that was like his trademark. But like he got that because he was going with his tribe or clan, and his mother, I believe it was sick, and and their philosophy is to leave people behind if they're too sick to move along. So he stayed with her, and he went against that, and he had a wolf that was with him, and basically the wolves, these other wolves, came to eat them, and so they fought and they fought, and like the first fight they won, and then the second fight he went into like crazy rage, and when he went to the crazy rage he ended up killing his wolf by mistake. So he cut that mane off and put it over his head, and he wore it with him all the time as a reminder of his wolf. So that's where that comes from. But
Could we like go
I know I'm
back
kind of
to
skipping
maybe
ahead
the
here.
beginning because I feel like we're
Okay.
picking up at the end of the
I
movie.
know. I'm just excited. I was excited by this movie.
So I and also I feel like this hearing you talk is making me way more excited than what I watched on TV because now you're making it make sense more. I
Yeah.
was extremely confused and it felt like what was that movie with the guy that he used to like he could teleport? He like
Mm.
teleport and he was robbing banks and stuff and they caught him and then they
Oh,
had the stick.
Samuel L. Jackson was in there.
Yeah,
In
yeah,
that.
that one.
I
Like
forget
it
what
felt
movie
like
that was.
that. Like we were just jumping all over the place. And you're like,
Okay.
"Oh my God, where are we going to go next?"
So okay, just real quick, like I want to keep the discussion going, but I need to set just like my own ground rules for judging a movie. I can't judge a movie by its like additional content, right? So like if it's like, oh hey, there's a this stuff is explained in a book, like case in point, the beginning of Avengers: Age of Ultron. They're
Didn't see it.
rating. Okay,
Just
there's no spoilers. This isn't a spoiler. In the beginning, they're raiding like a base, right? And there's no explanation as to how they find the base or why they got there. But you just kind of take it like whatever. They're fighting. You don't give a shit. Where it turns out that that's explained in like the TV show Agents of Shield and how that information was fed to them and all this other stuff. And it's like the context for that beginning action comes from another medium, which is TV shows, which is a separate medium from movies. And I like me personally, I watched Warcraft and I watched any movie based on something else as a standalone thing. Like it has to stand up on its own merit. Like I can't go, I can still enjoy it. Like I said, I enjoyed this movie, but I know that this was a bad movie. Like I know what a bad movie looks like, and I'm allowed to like bad movies. But like this was a bad movie. But it wasn't for the reasons that Ortiz was about to say, because he's classically wrong. The whole jumping around thing and whatever, like the problem with this movie, what I felt was that it was written by the cliche bot 5000, and it was just shooting out like fantasy cliches and character cliches, like at a very fast pace. And for a 2 hour and 3 minute movie, it was it was squeezing too much into it. Like there was
oh
no
yeah.
There was no. It suffered from what the DC films, the DC team up films are suffering from, which is a lack of character development. You don't give a shit about the characters, and you haven't been made to care about them in a movie.
Mm-hmm.
So if you care about them, you care about them because you know them from some other form of the lore. But I literally watched it, and I'm literally going. I have my paint by numbers chart for the cliche fantasy stuff, and like I'm coloring it in. And I'm like, oh, there's a son. All right, he's gonna die. All right, there's someone who inexplicably speaks English, without any explanation. That orc speaks English. You get one shot at the explanation, which is she knew the blue people in the cage. She could talk their language. Then she gets to
but
our
not the blue
world.
people.
She later on says, like, when she at the beginning when she's talking messed up English, she goes and says, they captured a village.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Or
And
some
then what?
crap.
Yeah.
And then she learned from them.
Right?
Yeah.
And she learned from
And that
them.
was it.
The only words she should know is help, let me go, get me out of here, save my kid. Those are the only words she should know if her only frame of reference for our language is the people she captured. Like learning.
By the way, she's like a Rosetta Stone because she started off with, broken English to by the end of the movie she was talking like, a perfect English.
That was the and
correcting humans like no.
Go ahead, Scott. You have the explanation. Go.
Well, no, I
feel it. I feel it.
I have no idea what to say to that. What I was gonna say was, I too, like, for me, character development is kind of very essential. Like, when I get in a movie and there's like a cliche moment, like where some guy is like, they have that kind of fun moment or that caring moment, and I don't feel it at all. That's when it hits me like, man, I don't know what they did, but it's been an hour and a half and I don't feel anything for that, so I totally get that. And I think that with this movie, as much as it seemed like they dragged the other movies on, like Lord of the Rings, right? If they split that up into 3 movies, right? And I feel like they could have done splitting this movie up, but it was a lot of information. And the fact that I cared about the characters was because I knew the characters, right? So like I knew who these people were. So like I was like, oh, I know what's gonna happen, but I care for them. Like I really liked Duratan's character, from the lore itself and the game and everything. So I cared about him. But I could see someone watching this and be like, yeah, all right, yeah, whatever. Lothar kid, yeah, whatever.
I think you made a really good point there when you mentioned Lord of the Rings, because when you watch Lord of the Rings 1, it had enough of everything that it was a standalone movie. Like you could have sat there and be like, oh, it was enjoyable. Oh, there's a part 2 coming out. Awesome, yay, But it felt like it was a contained story for the first movie, and then it was expanded through the 2. For me, this one, it felt like, I didn't feel invested because I didn't know the characters and their backstories and their future stories. So it just felt like just a mash of a bunch of different people.
Like it would go. It was like, hey, here's this orc, and this orc figured out that, hey, the dirt over there is a lot like the dirt where we came from, and I think we're doing that dirt. Maybe we should kill this guy. And then it's like, of course he's betrayed by his best friend, because you only ever get betrayed by your best friends in these types of movies. And then it's like, okay, and here's this other ogre.
Big too.
Yeah.
The betrayal, you're like, wait, what happened? He betrayed him? Why? And now they're friends again? I don't...
Oh, yeah, he got over that betrayal really fast, by the way.
So fast.
He got over it so
Hey, your whole tribe is dead, and your wife and baby are off somewhere in the woods, but man, we're cool, right?
Yeah,
Let's go
cool.
do this.
We're cool. You punch me, we're even.
Fucking retarded.
And that's the other thing, is like those big characters like Doomhammer and Blackhand, those are really big lore characters. And Doomhammer was just very like, yeah. All right, I'm gonna take his tooth and I'm gonna walk off with my hammer.
Yeah. Also, you're gonna take his tooth. You have no idea where the hell the kid is. You're just ripping people's faces off, and you have no idea if you're gonna be able to give that face to the next of kin. But then also there was like Blackhand, Purple Fist. he was all like, I'm a traditional guy. And then that's how you knew he was traditional. He didn't prove he was traditional. He was just traditional guy. Yeah,
And by
that's
the
you.
way, they never really established those parameters up until that point.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, he's like, "I'm traditional," and you're kind of like,
Yeah.
"What?" And then
Yeah,
it's like,
just out of
"Oh,
nowhere,
this is how we do it," you know? It's like,
It really was
"What?"
like out of left field. They start saying, respect our traditions. Oh, traditions are meant to be respected in this culture. Got it.
But
got
by
it.
the way, like what took me out of the movie, like, and it bothered me from beginning to end, was it didn't make complete sense on how they needed to get an entire planet of, you know, humans or species, humanoid species, right? And then open a giant portal to then go to another planet to do the same thing and then just continue to do that. Like, it doesn't say they needed the resources, they needed the wood, they needed the
No,
water.
said their
It
planet
was
was
just
dying.
Their planet was dying. That was like the least complicated part of it. Their planet was dying, so they killed
Didn't
the
they
last of
cause
the
that?
non-orcs. They don't know. They didn't realize. Oh, okay. So
It's
now
like,
we're arguing things that make
I'm
sense
like,
within
This is
that
the
one went over my head.
Fel, the green magic, right? Called
Yes.
the Fel,
The fell.
is like based in death, and it killed their old planet. The orcs don't think it kills their own planet. They just think their chieftain is magic, so they're gonna follow him through this portal to get a new world since their world died. Right?
Okay.
And because the green magic or the Fel uses life force as its power, they need life force to power larger parts of the magic, i.e., the gate. So they open the gate with enough people to get through to collect enough people to open the gate to let the rest of the people through.
they used the drain eye.
There
Which,
you go.
by the way, they
he knows
did
the actual
not-
term.
They did not need that huge ass gate. They could have easily made like a orc size gate. That they could have
Anyway.
used.
Okay, well, actually, with that,
Right,
I'm gonna let you
breaking.
know that's part of the cliche machine because that was the bomb countdown timer, like the unreasonable amount of time to get some massive world destroyer machine going is another cliche. Again, it was a cliche in a Suicide Squad. It's the same thing as a bomb counting down. I mean, there's the whole fight with the golem and the spire, right? That stops him from summoning the gate, which all of a sudden he's the person summoning the gate. Because I thought that the orc with the Fel magic was going to summon the gate, but all of a sudden he's the one who's got to summon the gate. And then the incantation apparently takes about 32 minutes, I think, to chant over. And it's between him and the and everything. So that was another huge huge cliche. The other thing that didn't make any sense that was never developed, like you meet the king and the king's like, we've had peace here forever, and then they're like, we need help, and the dwarves are like, you just want to use us to make things, and the night elves are like, ah ha ha ha, ha look at our eyebrows, and then they were just not cooperating, and I was like, wait,
yeah, like-
why are we
That
not
bothered me.
cooperating?
That bothered me.
You,
I don't know the lore behind the the gate and the actual the first appearance of the orcs and everything. I've never looked too much into that, but I sat there the whole movie going, man, there's all these other people that live here, and in the game you're partners with all these people, and none of them like come to help to fight this thing, right?
I feel like they didn't have the budget to really include like elves and
no, okay, so no, this is a story mechanic, okay?
Oh, okay.
When you decide, right, to make the gate, right, the stopping thing. So if you decide to have the dynamic be that the orcs have to be mysterious, they have to come in force, but not enough force to immediately take over the world, and then they in turn have to get the rest of their people in by capturing people. If you say that the people on the other end immediately identify the orcs as a threat, unite and just crush them, you don't have a movie. So you have to manufacture to be a human versus orcs thing, so that they're sizable forces, so that it would make sense that when they clash, no clear winner is decided, and that gives enough time for the horde to come through and even the numbers odd. So because of that, they needed to find a reason to remove the rest of the alliance from the fight, and they did not find a reason to do it. So they were just like, everyone's gonna be a dick at the table.
Gotcha.
The end. And also, if the dwarves were complaining about making stuff, why did they make all of the humans guns? Because they made them all guns. So their main thing for not fighting is, you guys are using this as an excuse to make us work more. But they still made a gun per human in the final battle scene. So
the what the heck was I just gonna say? Sorry, my trail of thought was gone because of that last little
So
comment.
so all right. So the orcs invade, right? And they destroy the portal. The orcs that are left are on this continent. So
Okay.
the
We got time.
humans.
We did not watch the same movie. They did not destroy the portal. Okay, there was no portal on the other end. Okay, so they like fell into water. Like you remember, they fell into
Yeah.
water, and
Yeah.
like this guy was born. By the way, a baby being born in an interdimensional portal thing was fucking out of control. Like
Oh no,
that's
no,
how you
I'm talking
start.
about later on, like after the king gets stabbed, blah blah blah.
Yeah, yeah,
They stop the portal. What
yeah.
I'm saying is, I'm trying to wrap my head around this because in World of Warcraft and even in Warcraft 3, they're in two separate continents.
Yes, I
So
wanted to ask Scott about that because he's our
I'm a little bit
apparently our
confused.
Warcraft lore expert.
Yeah.
There are two continents in the game,
Yes.
and you take a boat to get across. Now I know that for the record, again, this movie is actually the entire name of the movie is called Warcraft: The Beginning. They never wrote The Beginning on any of the posters, but the full name of it is The Beginning. And the way the movie ended either implies that it is the beginning of the human versus orc war, or this is them going, "Hey, we're gonna make more." So I don't know like what that subtitle was actually in reference to. But yeah, there were two continents. I took a boat across. I've done it many times.
Were you taking the tram to Iron Forge from Stormwind?
Just real quick, before you explain the two continents thing, one thing that immediately got, because again, I did play it, so some of the fan service they did was not lost on me. But when you show up to Iron Forge and there's just two people there, I'm like, bullshit. There should be a million
Yeah.
people there. It should be
Yeah.
lagging like crazy. You should not be able to see what's going on, and everyone should be trying to make a fucking custom suit of armor. I don't know if it's still like that. I don't even know if Iron Forge is even a place people visit anymore. But back when I played WoW, that was a huge hub. Like it was a bigger hub than I'm gonna
It
say
was the
Stormwind?
it was the
Stormwind.
Orgrimmar of the Alliance.
Yes.
Basically.
Yes. But go ahead. Sorry.
I really don't know how to explain the two continent things. I know there's two continents. I don't know if that happened in response to this or if it was already if it had already existed, because
Because
there's all that. Well, go ahead.
if you speculate, right?
Mhm.
And this is the continent that the horde takes over, then that means that the humans, the elves, the dwarves, and all that stuff move to the other one. But at the same time, it's not making any. You get what I'm saying? So
It's
did
not
they
it's not
push
the
the horde
continents that
Yeah.
the orcs take over because the map that they show, like in the castle when
Yeah.
they ask what's
Eastern
the
Kingdom.
It's the alliance.
yeah it's
continent.
clearly the Alliance continent, like it's clearly and all of the landmarks that they hit from the game are clearly Eastern continent. So like I don't know if later on another portal comes up and pulls the actual horde world over, but that would be shit
Yeah.
because that world is shit. And also the game also implies, not the game, the movie also implies that all of the blood elves are dead because the
Well-
horde world, right? The horde world is dying, and they make reference when nice elf and not nice elf, nice orc and betrayer orc are talking, and he's like, "Hey, you remember back in the day when there used to be trees and we used to hunt the blood elves and yada yada yadas." So I know the blood elves were thought an extinct thing in the game, and then they showed up in time for a new expansion pack, but the implication is that everything other than the orcs on the horde side of the world is dead.
So now that you mentioned the expansion pack,
No, Wilson, we're talking about the movie.
well, I'm in reference to the movie.
Okay.
There was the fell, right? It's green and all that stuff.
Yes, green magic.
There's a World of Warcraft expansion that has also got like a green character, and he's doing magical green stuff,
You're
which I
talking
thought it
about-
was in relation. So I was really
you're talking about
confused.
you are not prepared.
There you go.
Kill John. Oh, what the hell is his name?
Wick?
So
John Wick.
No.
So it confused the crap out of me because I
Hard
wasn't
working.
sure, like, if this guy was also part of the movie and
That's
like disappeared into the it was just so confusing to
his
see like
backstory,
both, you know.
his backstory is in Warlords 2. You actually play with him in an instance to see what it was like before that he let the Fel take over him, and I can't remember for the life of me what his name is. Can't,
But for the
but yeah,
record, do they have a relation?
I don't know. Medivh, I forget Medivh's backstory too. That's one person I forgot his backstory. Like when they were talking about him, and they kept bringing him up, I kept going, man, wasn't he bad? Like I don't remember him being like a good guy. And then as the movie started going on, and I started like seeing the Fel in his eyes, I'm like, oh wait, yes, that's right.
I had so much trouble with this movie. So the Medivh is the chosen wizard guy, right?
He's the guardian. He's the guardian.
The
Guardian.
guardian.
Again, like
But
you're having trouble with the uncomplicated parts of the movie. Go ahead.
I guess
Guys,
you
they-
guys
they-
are way advanced.
They literally called him the guardian 50 times. I literally didn't know his name.
You got me there.
He's
You got me
the
there.
guardian. That's what they call
Oh.
him.
So he's just like, you know, the guardian, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's a whole like group of wizards just like hanging out at their wizard temple.
Kieran Tor. Yeah.
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 And not helping, even though they know what's going on.
They're a Dalaran. I mean, I don't really know their thing, but again, they're just another party that's not doing anything in this thing. Probably like for what Danny was saying, you know.
Like
But
World of
I-
Warcraft felt like you were just like everyone's, you know, whatever.
I don't know.
Well, but apparently it was the death of the king that united everybody. But now that you brought up the smelling store, the fucking lady in the cube. Can we talk about the lady in the cube? Like, what the fuck was the lady in the cube? Like, she ghosts out like in the beginning to cause a moment of misdirection, right? So they have this forced moment of misdirection, even though you know immediately the minute the guardian has the Fel in his eyes, you're like, oh, he's evil. Like you already figured out. But they go to the spire, his tattoo glows. They lead him to the book. He reads the book, and then you see the ghost figure. Ooh. You're like, oh, it's haunted, right? And then when the guardian talks to She-Orc and asks her, hey, you know, how'd you guys get here? She goes, we were invited. By who? Like, he had a gravelly voice. And then it's like, but then it turns out that goddamn Medivh is Tyler Durden. And he's just not, that was a Fight Club reference. Where he doesn't know like that he's doing stuff when he's not around, and then you know it's like, oh, there was a ghost lady and she was helping you the whole time, and by the whole time it was that one time she led you to the book, and for some reason she's trapped in the cube, and she gets out of the cube she'll melt, but I think she died in the cube anyway because it took all of her energy to get out of the cube. And can we talk about the fact that the cube is floating and there's 4 people shooting beams at it for reasons unknown because they don't understand how the cube works? They openly admit that they don't know what it is or why it's there or what it does, and then it opens. It goes, never done that before. But what are the 4 other dudes doing shooting beams at it? Fuck that cube.
This
That's
shit
like
doesn't make any sense.
every MMO ever. You're walking around and people are shooting lasers at things and channeling things.
Which, by the way, okay, in everything, good means white, something light, something bright. Darkness means something bad. The cube is very dark. It's like swallowing things. They don't know what it is. It's a mystery.
Cube's not
and then
swallowing
here
anything.
she is like, what the fuck?
What did the cube swallow? The
You
cube didn't swallow
again?
anything.
What
It just-
movie were you watching?
What were you at? The cube didn't
just-
swallow anything. The cube was just literally there, floating, being like masturbated
It
by
swallowed
magic.
him. It just
No,
It
it opened
opened a
up
door.
and
Inside
let
of
him
me.
in, and it clearly let him out too.
It did.
I feel like too, like that was a very, very, very small part of the movie. It was literally like, hey, there's a cube. Go inside. Talk to the lady. Out. Done.
Right,
That was very short.
right. It was a very short part, but it was an incredibly. If you think that story was worth paying attention to, it was an incredibly important part because it was the Sorcerer's Apprentice's like turning moment. Because there's a lot of like foreshadowing, right? So like when when they refer to that dude and the young wizard, and he's like, "You're not the guardian yet," And then like he keeps saying yet, like he said yet several times about his status as being the guardian for the Sorcerer's Apprentice, whatever the hell his name was in the game in the movie. And then like that cube opens up and it basically tells him all of your suspicions are correct. That guy's probably evil. I could have like wrote you a letter, I guess, but I decided to spook you, but never actually call you. He was never called to the tower, by the way.
No.
He was never called to the tower, so it's not like the Meryl Streep looking lady ever was like, hey, I've got information for you. It led him to the book, and then he was there by happenstance because he was like, I need more wizards' help. And so it wasn't even like, she wasn't even really helping. He just happened to be there. She was like, listen, come into my studio apartment. I'll let you fill me up a little. And then we'll fucking go out and kill it. So it was a big thing. And it was like light, darkness makes light. Light makes darkness. Darkness makes magic. Magic fucks up.
So awkward.
I did like... Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Scott. You got a lot of good material. I apparently saw a completely different movie.
Yes, but I enjoy your wrongness. It helps drive the show.
I
That's what I'm here for, for the horde.
I have to say, I mean, stepping away from the story for a second, right? Mm-hmm. I thought the visuals were pretty amazing.
Yes.
I mean, when they were coming out with this, they said it's on par with Avatar, if not better. And like there were scenes where I was like, okay, that's pretty computer generated. And then there were scenes where I was like, that is so damn realistic, because the lighting and everything. I was so impressed with that, and and everything that the mages basically did. The actual
all of their magic was beautiful.
Yeah,
like all of it.
It was pretty awesome.
The drawing of the runes, the creating the warlock teleportation thing was fucking gorgeous. The rose that he made, was fantastic. The costumes on point.
Mm-hmm.
All of the costumes were on point.
Cheesy.
All the visuals and everything.
Not cheesy. Because with that Stormwind armor, they could have been pretty cheesy with it, like very like over the top, shiny. But it was pretty good. It was pretty good.
Yeah, everything looked like. I wish World of Warcraft looked like this, because World of Warcraft's always been like a very cartoony looking game, and whatever. But the movie was visually beautiful, and then also like that world tour that it put you in. Because the other reason, Ortiz, that you might have felt like they were jumping a lot was because as part of their fan service was they wanted to show you as much of the world as possible. So you have to think about it when they show Ironforge, it's literally the beginning first few minutes. Yeah. Hey, I made a gun. He's like, yeah. Well, we're not gonna use dwarves in this movie, so fuck you guys. But we showed you Ironforge, right?
And boomstick.
Booms, and they're like, all right, now we're gonna show you on the Griffin. Oh shit, the Griffin, what? And it's like, hey, we're crossing this bridge. You're like, a Murloc, what? A Murloc? This is fucking boss.
I know.
And like they did that whole thing, so that's why the beginning of it is very jumpy. It's to put as much fan service as possible. And I don't know what this. It was well acted. Like the actors did a really good job. Like I didn't feel like there were any like poorly acted moments. I felt like the story was generally weak. But I didn't feel like anyone was not delivering on their part to be their cliche. To be the young boy cliche, gonna die son. To be the young wizard cliche. To be the old wizard who's gonna turn cliche. You know what I'm saying? To be the loving king cliche. Everyone nailed their cliche parts. Like, they fucking slam dunked them. Again, I don't think the story was good, but I don't think anyone, like, dropped the ball on what their part was. Which I think was part of me actually being able to enjoy the movie.
So, does anyone watch Vikings?
Yeah, that's the guy from Vikings. That's the guy from Vikings. That's the guy from Vikings.
That's the guy from Vikings?
Yes.
And they didn't even require the man to shave or anything. They literally said, you know the way that you act in Viking? Why don't you act that same exact way for Warcraft?
Listen, they did that shit to Legolas. Legolas's first 3 movies after Lord of the Rings, he had to be on a sword or have a bow and then be like climbing on a wall. You know what I'm saying? Like that shit happens, bro. That's how you break out.
That was crazy.
Yeah, I feel like the casting was very well done.
But yeah, the acting and everything, it was great. I think it should have been, I don't know, more straightforward. That jumping around trying to show us way too many things and
clearly
do too much.
You don't have the attention span for a movie with more
No,
than
no.
one location.
I did not have the backdrop that you guys have. At least you paid attention. Okay. Scott is a different story. He knows
Well,
like
yeah,
what was
yeah,
going
yeah. I paid
on. He
attention
loves
because I
this
have
movie.
attention span.
Yeah, yeah.
I look.
For the rest of us, I feel like I'm representing the people now. Okay, for the rest of us who don't have the attention span, all right?
This didn't do good with the general public. It didn't really make a ton of money, and it was because the reviews, were people going there and are like, "What is this crap?" That never played the game or whatever. And so
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people had the problem that Will's having. They watch 15 minutes and they stare at the wall for a little bit, and then they go back to the movie, and then they look at their phone.
For example, just for example, right? Captain America, it didn't matter if you ever like picked up the comic or whatever. That movie made you kind of like, maybe I should just check it out, Maybe I should pick up a Captain America comic and see what it is about, maybe learn a little bit. And then that's when you get all these fanboys that are like, oh, back in 1942 when I was around, I'm only 10 years old though. When I was in 1942, I know the backstory, issue 1, part of blah, 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 blah. And you're like, oh, calm down, buddy.
All right, so we'll eventually have the Marvel Universe continuity talk, but I will tell you that the movies don't relate to the main 616 continuity, so it doesn't even matter. But no, so again, I'll go back to the point I made earlier when we like if we're gonna judge like cross medium stuff, right? Because there's always an issue with it, right? So when someone has a video game and they're like, hey, let's make it a movie, I always think to myself, why? It's a video game. Everything that you do in this, what I consider interactive storytelling, right? So like a story-driven narrative video game is an interactive story, right, that you experience, does not translate to the passive experience of watching a movie, right? Or, as Ortiz would describe it, these weird sounds and flashes on the screen, because that's what he experiences. And he goes, what's that green stuff? Who are these people? Why are you in my house? So... But the same thing results in a book, where a book is a slower paced, like personal visualization of a story. When you translate that to a movie, things get lost, things don't translate well. The best things to do is to do something like this movie did, and to do something like that brought the Star Wars video games, for example, from the movie to games. And it's to say, I'm going to tell a story that takes place in the universe, but that does not directly parallel an already existing story, right? So this is lore, like backdrop, that apparently coincided with the game, but it did not tell the story that you play through, right? Is that right, Scott? You don't play through any of this movie in any of the games, right?
No, I'm trying. The whole time I was watching it, I was trying to think in Warlords about how much is expressed and how much you put in, like how close you get to this point in Warlords, but.
Right.
Because you face Blackhand in Warlords,
Right.
You face Doomhammer in Warlords, because you do the whole space-time continuum, mess with the timeline type thing when you go to Warlords. So
Also, another cliche was they're running at each other, and I'm really like, he's gonna slide and kill him. He slid and killed him. I'm like, fucking course he slid and kill him. That's
Check.
That's what you do when you run at each other. Just like when the orc mama jumped on that guy, I'm like, she just jumped on the sword, and then she gets up and there's a sword in her stomach. Like, yeah, she jumped on her sword. But anyway, what I was getting at as I tried to wrap it up is that I think as a standalone, it was a bad movie, but I think it stands alone. Like it doesn't, like you don't need like the World of Warcraft stuff, because I honestly, like I didn't play Warlords, right? I had no again, the Warcraft I played to mash buttons in the sequence and kill things and get green stuff and purple stuff. I didn't really like pay attention to who any of the people were. So outside of the landmarks, I didn't have like a fanboy experience for this game. As a standalone fantasy movie, it is again, cliche monster. What I consider a good pacing and good visuals and good acting that I could enjoy, but I'll probably never watch it again. Nor would I recommend it for money, but definitely catch it on TV. Like that's how I feel about this movie. Like I don't think like I disagree with Ortiz. I think Ortiz didn't like it and blames him not liking it on the fact that it has like another medium to experience. But I just think it's a bad movie, and you experienced it as a bad movie, and you're trying to blame something other than the fact that it wasn't good.
No, I was just
I
pointing out,
agree
like,
with me.
those distracting moments that I was kind of like, what the hell is going on here? But on the record, I do want to watch Warcraft 2 when it comes out on Blu-ray.
All right, you make no sense. I'll watch it too, but that's because I didn't mind wasting those 2 hours. Scott, what's your summary on your feelings of this movie?
So I liked it. It really got me excited because I really want to see more, right? Because again, if you invested, I've only not played one expansion of this game, and this movie got me a little psyched to get back into it. I mean, until I realized a lot of what it takes to play a game like this, and how much it cost. But there were some things in there. I was just writing it down while we were watching it. The Murloc, right?
Yeah.
Going to Goldshire, right?
Yes.
By
the way, why the fuck was the king there? Why was the king not at his those are the story points that I'm telling you felt forced for fan service. Yeah. But why would he not be in his castle? Why would he be in a hut in a town?
Let's talk secretive. Let's go out to that little bar down there that everybody gets naked in and talks to each other and tries to do all this stuff in.
So fucking weird.
When he sheeps the guard.
Oh yeah, I have that written down here. That sheep spell was terrific.
One thing I saw that kind of weird that was interesting. I don't know if you saw this. There was at one point they showed Ironforge on the outside, right? They showed the in the mountains, and I could have swore they showed an orc looking at it. So I thought, oh, that's where it's going to involve, but it didn't. Well, rewind the movie and check that out. The one thing that I really wanted to see in this movie, and I knew it wasn't going to be in this movie, was my favorite race, and it wasn't in the movie.
Which one?
Trolls.
It's okay, but we knew Undead weren't going to be in the movie either.
Yeah, so I kind of
Warcraft
like. Well, the thing is, I really hope they make another movie. I don't know if they will, because I don't know if they'll make enough money off of it. But I think if they take the same visuals, right, and they just kind of hone the story to like a shorter time period, and like more of maybe the opening of the gate for like the Burning Crusade, or Black Rock Foundry, or what's the one with the bugs? I can't remember. Oh, it's been so long. But yeah, something like that would be kind of awesome. But I liked it. I don't know if I'll ever watch it over again. It's not something I'd watch with anybody I know, because nobody would sit through that and enjoy it. But I definitely enjoyed it.
So I just pulled it up. I had the IMDb pulled up, and then I had some stories that if we had time we would have gone to, but the sequel has not been greenlit. Yeah. But they're talking about it. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I'm with you. I would watch the sequel to this movie. I would. And if it's bad, but it was the same type of movie, I'd watch the third one if they went with 3.
So I had to look it up. I think they're going to make a second one because it cost them $160 million to make. And worldwide, they made $386 million.
Oh, there you go. I mean, they
it was
doubled
complete
their money.
success for them. Yeah.
That's pretty good. Well, all right,
yeah,
cool.
I hope they do.
All right, well,
I hope so too.
That's I think we did Warcraft some justice. A little shaky start there since we had to do a take 2, which we've never had to do in the history of us podcasting. We started recording over, but unfortunately we had some squeaky noise in the background that literally made the audio like people would stop listening. Like if someone never heard the podcast before, they'd kind of go and they'd be like, no more. Real quick, again, if you're listening to us via podcast, a podcast streaming service, or directory of some sort, thanks for listening. We do, again, have a YouTube visual counterpart. If you want to see everyone's face move around choppily, except mine, we're on YouTube at Talking Chicken Network. If you're watching us on YouTube, know that if you look up Talking Chicken Network, or Space Chicken or Popcorn Chicken, in your various iTunes or not iTunes style things. You'll find us there. Again, my tweeters is at NRG_Danny. We got Scott. You want to Scotty's Journey?
Yep.
At Scotty's Journey. And then Will?
At Wilson Ortiz.
At Wilson Ortiz on the old tweeters there. Hit us up if you want to talk Warcraft or anything else, movies or video game related. And YouTube comments. Let us know what you think about Warcraft. Because I'm sure
dislike
you
our
guys
videos.
loved it. And I'm sure that we got everything wrong about the lore. We
Oh, God,
probably
yeah.
did. But you know what? Fuck your game. Your game is stupid. Scott, we should totally get into Warcraft. We should totally get into it.
Let's dedicate our lives to it
Let's
again.
go. What you're about to hear is a sequence that caused us to restart the podcast. So I'm going to start off by saying that I thought that this movie was terrible, but I could not stop watching it, and I enjoyed every second of it. And it's difficult to explain.
I feel like he's cooking something.
Yeah, I'm going to kill whatever's making that noise.
Sorry, it was me.
All right.